What's up, creatives? What if I told you we can build a complete brand, name, logo, color palette, even all of the visuals using just ChatGPT? No Photoshop, no Midjourney, no design tools. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I built the brand identity for Masiko Coffee using only structured prompts and generating all of the images inside of ChatGPT. So let's go ahead and get started. Project steps. Let's talk about this. How does this work? When creating a brand, we need to start with some things. First thing to start with, define the brand essence. And the brand essence is the story, the personality, the purpose. It sets the tone for everything you're going to do. Building the image DNA prompt. This is your visual blueprint. This tells the AI how the brand should look, from the logo to photography style. Then we're going to generate the visual descriptions. You use the image DNA to describe all your scenes, your packaging, your merchandising, and anything else. Finally, we create the asset prompts. And these are the actual detailed prompts that you use to create your cards, your menus, the signage, the package. And all of this is based on the work that you previously done in creating that DNA. Finally, we're going to organize the file, organize all the prompts, all the designs, and we're going to then polish it with either a graphic designer or go to Illustrator or Photoshop and do it ourselves. Okay, let's talk with the brand essence here. This is your tone, your story, the personality. First, the name. The name is from Uganda, means hope, fresh start. And it also has a historical context, and because Masiko was a royal dawn sweeper, that fits well with what we do with coffee. And I thought it was just a really good name to start with. And the personality is warm, is craft, is playful, urban street vibes, Chicago street vibes to be specific. West African roots without cliches. And this is important because whenever we're using a name from a different culture, we need to be aware of any offenses we might have. Color palette, we have the master mark, and this is the specifics of the logo. That master mark, we'll get into details here. And then it comes down to illustration style, icon sets, photo vibe, all of these things to drive that consistency across all of the assets. So let's talk about the logo. In a previous video, I went into details on how I create a logo DNA. But you can see from here that we have some specifics here, because you can see where I'm doing the tracking, where the colors, the diameter, the size of the fonts, even looking here at the A, the K, and the M, and looking and saying, okay, what's going on here with these specific elements. The beans, and you can see the beans and the arc assets. This again is getting the specificity into our logo design so we can really create and get consistency across the board. But the final thing here is this: ensure the Make Masiko badge exactly matches the reference. So this statement here is kind of like the overarching statement. Because we're inside of a ChatGPT thread, we can use this statement throughout all of our image generation. So sometimes we don't have to use the entire logo description, that this statement is good enough. So prompting with the images, this is kind of the basic elements that we're doing here. When we are prompting for assets, because this is a coffee shop, ChatGPT is relatively familiar with all of the assets that a coffee shop would have. So to showcase this, we talk about the cup. Now, with the cup, I was able to use only the logo statement, not the full logo description, but the subject. You can see the young African-American woman in her 20s with shoulder-length locks. Now, we generated this image earlier, And so ChatGPT knew what this character looked like, but you can see I'm still putting in that description. Icons. So when it comes to icons, this is, I believe, where ChatGPT shines best because it doesn't take much to get the icons. You can see I have the 3x3 grid and it produced 15 icons for me, not 9. But add a background color. Actually, what I end up doing is just say transparent so I wouldn't have to remove the background myself. But you can do transparent or you can put it on the color background. But then I have what the main color is of the lines for the visual pop, that color for visual pop. So you can see I put that in. Worked really well. Again, I believe with a coffee design, by just simply putting in coffee icons, you can get a nice array of coffee icons without being specific to the descriptions. But here I was specific at times. The images. Logo is really where it comes to play, is that does the logo show up or not? Because we have some DNA that we're using throughout all of our images. The idea of what do we have to do to get the logo to show up. And when we look at this description, what you can see is the first half of the description, I used the full logo description. And the reason is because the logo showed up twice. It's on the cup, it's on the wall, and there was some inconsistencies when I only used the statement. So I had to use the full description of the logo. As for the young lady, that description is just basic of the cup, of the hand, and of her clothing. And then we have some slight description of the background of what that restaurant looked like. Now, inside of the cafe, the interior of the cafe, this is where we have to work on some image consistency, because what we're looking at is that we want certain elements to turn up every single time. The concrete countertop, the wood frame of the counter, the tungsten steel shelving, the open shelving, the Edison light bulbs. So those are things that we want to consistently show up throughout all of these images. And you're going to see in the next slide here where I was able to get consistency with the logo and with the images. All right, so using the image DNA prompt, I generated the entire brand system. What you will notice is that the places where the logo is a little inconsistent. So here's the card, inconsistent logo. The icons, where I said ChatGPT shines best with icons. The packaging. The cup. A layout board with all of the icon assets kind of laid out for you, but you'll notice again the inconsistency in the logo. So this is something where a graphic designer would come into play. And here is the menu. And what you're going to notice with these next two images is the background. If you look at the Edison lights and you look at the tungsten rail and the open shelving, that is where we shine when we talk about being detailed with the images. So again, you can see Edison lighting, concrete countertop, and the open shelving with the steel rods. Packaging again, another menu, another image, and this is slightly inconsistent because you can see we don't have the granite countertop and the iron rods are slightly different. So there's some iterations that you have to do, but this is everything. And once you have everything, then we can think about the polish, because what we've done is that we have gotten ourselves 70% through the process. And what we now have to do is do the polishing. So in this particular thing, everything you've seen, prompts, branding assets, the full brief, I'm going to allow you to download all of this stuff so you can kind of build it yourself, and you can just put in ChatGPT and build your own system. But understand that the process is what you need to think about. Getting the DNA, getting your prompts, getting your consistency. This is the power of ChatGPT, and this is why I use it. And hopefully, you guys get something out of this. Again, in ChatGPT. Okay, so hopefully that helped. I will put a link in the description so you can download everything yourself and just create your own asset. I will see you guys in the next video.